Can I just say one thing firstly? I love the name Eat Sleep Boxing Repeat.
Welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel. Delighted, as always, to be joined by Danny. This is a final prediction video for the big fight taking place in Dublin this Friday night between former world title challenger and accomplished amateur Mick Conlan will face the former English champion, Jack Bateson, in a fight that Mick Conlan really needs to win if he still has aspirations of competing at world level. Danny, good to be joined by you as always. As always, no mucking around. We'll save kind of analysis and other questions until later. We'll jump straight into it. What's your final prediction for this one, please?
Yeah, you said there quite rightly in your introduction that it's a fight Mick Conlan has to win. It's one I think he will win on points. I think even as he does approach what you would imagine to be the later stage of his career, even though he's potentially not got the resilience, the punch resistance he used to have, I think his natural ability, footwork, hand speed should prove too much for Jack Bateson, who hasn't boxed close to this level since really a Shabazz Masood fight, and that's a fight he was comprehensively beaten in. So I'm going to back Mick Conlan to win the fight via a clear unanimous decision.
Brilliant. Some interesting odds for this one, I think, which we'll go into a little bit, which we like to do. Um, I'll give my prediction as well, Danny. I'm going for the same prediction as you. However, I think it will be a close points decision, bordering on not kind of robbery, but people saying it kind of could have gone either way, could have been a draw. I think there'll be that sort of reaction to it. I was lucky enough to be at the Mick Conlan's last fight in Brighton against Assad Khan back in March. He was on the undercard of Harlan Eubank, Tyron McKenna, and I was quite alarmed by how unwilling he was to exchange. I thought he just looked quite old, if I'm being honest. Obviously, that's coming off the back of two stoppage losses to Jordan Gill and Luis Alberto Lopez, are good fighters. I just think one thing I would say here is Jack Bateson, 6 stoppages and 20 wins. Obviously, not a massive puncher, but I was a bit alarmed by Mick Conlan going up against a very limited opponent. That opponent then went on to lose quite comprehensively to Josh Warrington in his next fight. So I'll go, yeah, it's over 10 rounds. So I'll go a 97, 93, 96, 94 kind of common scorecard to Mick Conlan, but we will see. I think it's an intriguing one. Touching on those odds, Danny, I really wanted to get your opinion on those. 8 to 15 for Mick Conlan to win, 6 to 4 for Jack Bateson to win, and Mick Conlan to win on points is evens. How much does that tempt you?
Yeah, the evens on Conlan points definitely does. I don't think Jack Bateson is without a chance in this fight because of the fragilities for Conlan that we've mentioned. You're 100% right in what you say. He didn't look particularly good in his comeback fight, but I do think the odds are a bit short on Jack Bateson if I was to want to back him, purely because of that punching power. Like Conlan's shown he doesn't have the best chin, but I think you probably need a bit more of a dig than Jack Bateson to take him out. I would have thought could prove to be wrong on that one. So I think the odds are pretty good if you're looking to back Conlan points, which who knows, maybe I will.
Yeah, for sure. We will see. We'll see what happens. A couple more from me, Danny. Can you see Conlan getting back into the world title picture? You could kind of look at that last performance in Brighton as kind of a comeback win, just a fight that he needed some rounds, needed to win in. For all we know, we could be kind of here on Friday night, Saturday morning, talking about a really impressive performance from him. However, you're in a world a division at where obviously at super featherweight you've got the likes of Sugar Nunes, O'Shaki Foster, champion as the champions. Obviously, this fight's at featherweight, so we could, which is a tough division as well. Obviously, you don't need me to name the champions, but obviously the likes of Nick Bull, Rafael Espinoza. Um, at featherweight or super featherweight, can you see him? I'm not necessarily saying kind of win a world title, but I'm saying get back into that sort of picture to fight for one.
I mean, he could fight for one, I suppose. That's probably as much as I could see happening, and I wouldn't even the weaker champions at both those weights, I think, would be too much for this version of Mick Conlan. And stylistically, there's a lot of really bad fights for him. Like Nick Ball be a terrible fight for him. Espinoza, terrible fight for him. Angelo Leo, big puncher, bad fight for him at 130. almost just gets a bit worse, really. I would like to see him go down the route of a Josh Warrington fight or a rematch with Lee Wood. I know those two look to be rematching each other by the sounds of things, potentially in Monaco. If Mick Conlan could maybe fight the winner of that or loser of it, there's probably enough interest there, and it doesn't have the danger aspect of a fight with an Espinosa or a Navarrete or something like that, which I think would have a much worse outcome. So I don't like the idea of him against any of the current world champions, although that's going to be what he's pursuing. As he's not yet become a world champion, came very close, of course, against Lee Wood, but given, as I say, who the current champions are, I'd like to see him go in a different direction, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And I think you think at the stage of his career that's probably going to happen. Um, I remember when he had that fight in Brighton. I think it was the European champion at the time, kind of got in the ring afterwards, and we were told that fight was going to happen next. It's kind of went awfully quiet, boxing being boxing. Things weren't communicated in terms of why that fight hasn't happened. But yeah, we'll see. I think it's. I hope there's something left. I hope there's something left for Mick Conlan. I would really like, kind of love for him to kind of give a really positive performance, and then we're here talking about future exciting nights for him. Before I let you go, Danny, I think I'm just kind of interested to know at featherweight when it comes to kind of British and Irish featherweights. Obviously, Nick Ball's number one. He's the only male world champion in the UK at the moment. But with Mick Conlan, obviously in that division is Nathaniel Collins, who looked great against Lee McGregor, Liam Davis, who's still a very good fighter. How where does Mick Conlan rank amongst those fighters for you? Is he still kind of on that level? Is he below that level? There's Zach Miller was obviously the Commonwealth champion. Lee McGregor's still there as well. But where do you kind of rank him in all of that?
I think if you're asking now, I'd probably back Nathaniel Collins to beat him. Nick Ball, you have to have ahead of him. Maybe in and around Liam Davis,
Yeah.
that sort of level. And even that, I think, would be a tough fight for Mick because of how strong and heavy handed and fit Liam Davis is. Maybe he could prove us wrong and go on an amazing last run, but I just do think his race is getting close to run, although I do think he'll have enough for Jack Bateson.
Yeah, I think like if I'm being honest with you, it almost feels a bit disrespectful because if you consider how close Mick Conlan was to winning a world title, what he did in the amateurs, how respected he is in the sport, how much of a figurehead he is in Irish boxing, I feel a bit disrespectful just to kind of say, would you kind of rank him? Where would you kind of rank him against these British featherweights? But we'll see. We'll see what happens. We're both going for a Mick Conlan win. So we'll see if that happens and then see what happens after that. Danny, good to be joined by you as always. Thank you for your time. I'll speak to you again soon.
Thanks, mate.